Good day, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us again for another episode of the GSR podcast. Today, we once again have Sir Ian Cipriano,
Hi, everyone.
and we'll be doing property management this time. Because I'm in the scenario where, thanks to Sir Ian's teachings and some future considerations, I'm wondering what the process is going to be like after I end up picking up a property. Because he already walked me through what it's like buying a pre-selling property on the first episode of our podcast, wherein I just have to make sure I have enough money in the bank and then negotiate the terms. But then comes the question, what comes after? What do I have to be wary about? So I have Sir Ian with me here today to hopefully shed some light on all of this. So, sir, what exactly is it that I can expect once I've gotten a turned over property, so ready for occupancy and the like?
That is the time that the property management will start.
Okay.
So the property management, basically, it will start after you purchase a property. That's the service that we are doing now. We had this kind of traditional real estate when broker is selling a property to the buyer. And then after that is they turn over this buyer to the developer. That's the traditional real estate that we have before. But GSR started to create an after sales support in real estate when it comes on after the buyer purchase a property to the broker. So GSR will do the property management service. This is what we call an after sales support. It's kind of started on we're assisting the buyer when it comes on payment terms and when it comes on documentation, because most of the buyers is if we have local buyers, they can easily understand. But the problem is if we have a foreign buyer, which is they are not so familiar with the systems or the documentation that issuing by the developers, they don't know how to do or how to start. For example, I have thousands of Japanese buyers in our company. So it's very different. There's a lot of difference when it comes on purchasing a property in Japan compare purchasing a property here in Philippines. So basically, we're supporting these Japanese buyers how to purchase a property here in Philippines. So that's the start of property management.
All right. So you're already there in the purchasing stage to make sure it goes smoothly. And then you move forward from there for what happens after the purchasing stage is done in the case of a foreign buyer then?
After the purchasing is, the most important thing is at first is we need to secure the documentation. There's no problem in the documentation. And then especially aside from the documentation, in the payment scheme or the terms. So there's some several scenario that is those payment terms that we know at first is it's not usually the final payment.
Okay.
So there's some of the other charges that will apply after the purchase. So those turnover fee, registration fee. So we need to inform these buyers that we have this kind of payment that we need to settle. So, but there's some of the brokers and developers also discussing this kind of thing, those whole part. So, because if you buy a pre-selling property, it will take 4 to 5 years to be delivered, the property. So, and then when you are paying the reservation, down payment, monthly amortization, and then the final payment is usually the buyers just know the outstanding balance, and then after that there's no payment will happen. But actually there would be a title transfer payment, other charges, utility registration like Meralco and water charges, admin fee. So after the turnover, so this kind of information we don't know it at first when we are buying a property. Usually the turnover team of the property will explain and discuss this, because what's happening here in the developer side is when the building is under construction, they don't have the admin yet, the administration that will manage the building. And then after the construction of the building, and then they turn over the building, they will the admin operation will start. And then those admin operation, they will calculate the association dues, the utility charges. So, and then that's the time they can like inform the specific amount of the payment. So the registration fee. So it's usually it happens with the different developers. So this is the thing that we are informing those buyers also.
All of the fees that are going to come in after the turnover.
Yes.
Do you have an idea? Can you give me a ballpark number of how much to expect for those fees? Like, is there a percentage amount of the selling price that you should expect to save up for so that when the turnover fees happen, you can come prepared?
Actually, it depends. It depends on the property. It depends on the number of property and then the residential property here. There's a computation there. It really depends on the expenses of the building. So yes, it depends. But siguro to estimate it around like other charges, it's good thing because all the developers now is like they are like publishing the other charges at the start na.
Okay.
Parang nandun na siya sa TCP, the total contract price. So
Okay.
it's good. But yung mga Meralco charges, turnover fee, admin fee, siguro I could say around like less than 50,000.
Okay. So you have to tack that on or keep that into account when you're buying pre-sold properties. You all for property management, that means you also handle documentation, right?
Yes.
I'm slightly familiar with the documentation process for resale properties where you transfer ownership via a certificate of title, but how is the pre-selling documentation different and are the costs the same? Does it usually still cost in the ballpark of like 30 to 45,000 pesos to move the documents through all of the government bodies?
Usually the developer will manage that, and then the other payments also. It's included on the TCP. The what we call is the total contract price.
Okay.
So it's already included, and then there's a documentation team in every developers that managing those documents. But if you purchase a pre-selling property, and then they will give you a contract to sell at first. There's no title yet.
Okay.
So they will issue a contract to sell stating that the developer is selling this property to you. It's like a DOAS, but it's not a real deed of absolute sale yet. So even you like paid the down payment, they can issue the CTS, the contract to sell. So that's the starting contract that
you're given.
Yeah. And then like after that they will process the deed of absolute sale. So it will take long process because they need to settle this one. There's a tax on that one also.
True.
So after the DOAS, they will process the title.
Okay, so it's contract to sell into deed of absolute sale into processing of title.
Yes, that's correct. And then there's a scenario if it's still under the processing of deed of absolute sale or the title, and then you decide to like sell this property. So do a resale, even the property is pre-selling. So there's a way also to apply this one. You will apply a secondary sale to the developer, and then they will issue a transfer of rights documents. So basically, you're transferring the rights, the ownership to the other person. So, and then there's a process. Usually it's 50,000 only, but there's 100,000. It's 250. It depends on the developer, how high end the property.
Okay. And it's already noted in the TCP naman.
Yes, that's correct.
That's good to know because for resale, when I had the experience of trying to run documentation for the first time, I was informed that the average fee that you charge as somebody who helps do the documentation for a resale property is around 30 to 50. I think for all of the documents na, which means going around to the BIR, going around to the other government bodies, getting your tax certs and all that.
Yes, that's correct also. Those 30,000 to 50,000 processing fee for the documents is it's the standard. Actually, it's that standard practice in real estate, but it's not the like we can say a fixed price or there's a rule of it. It's depend on the service. In GSR, the difference of GSR is the property management that we have. If we sold the property to you, automatically we will handle this documentation without fee.
Oh, that's great. That
Yeah.
is very, very important to note for everyone watching, because handling documentation for resale is
Yeah, it is very stressful.
Yes, it is. Repeatedly going to the same office only to be
Yes,
told to
that's-
come back another time because hindi kompleto yung mga documents mo.
That's correct.
So that's already a really big selling point.
We just charge the real estate investors if we're not the one sold the property to him. So like it's a standard practice of GSR property management. Like if you sold the property, our sales team will forward you to the property management team. So this is the after sales support. And then those property management team, the documentation and the accounting will do the monitoring of documents and then your payment.
Okay. So that way, not only do you handle the documentation process yourself, but you also make sure to keep the buyers informed of what's happening. The transparency mismo, no?
Yes, that's correct.
That's really important. And I think that's really good business practice.
So imagine it will take 4 years to construct the property. And then during that time, we will start to monitor those payments and then documentations. And then after 4 years, the property will turn over. So the property management survey will expand more.
Expand more how? So like what happens after it's turned over and you're moved in? Do you do stuff like furnishing, maintenance, renovation?
Yes, we cater all those stuff also. And then at first, once the property is ready to turn over, basically the documents is okay, the payment, the full amount balance is paid already by the buyer. So it will be ready for turnover, and then we're gonna assist the buyer also. If the buyer cannot join to the turnover schedule, the buyer can issue SPA to turnover, and then GSR property management can do the turnover.
Oh, okay. So they can be the ones to handle the signing of documents.
Yes, that's correct, on behalf of the buyer.
All right.
So the turnover is very tricky. Like what we expect sometimes is what can't we get. We cannot get what we expect like that. So this is the good point also if one of the GSR property management will guide you from the turnover, because they will do like an assessment with the unit, because if the property is turned over to the buyer, there's a 1-year warranty only. And then it will start on the turnover date.
Which means the buyer only has 1 year to fully inspect the unit.
Yes, fully inspect. And then sometimes if the buyer the buyer cannot stay in the unit for now, there's no plan yet for the unit for now, and then 1 year will pass, we cannot get the warranty.
That's not good to hear, given it takes a while not to really inspect the unit. Because when I hear unit inspection, I'm thinking making sure everything is fine with regards to electrical, plumbing, and I guess structural integrity. Does GSR also do unit inspections?
Yes. The person in charge with the when it comes on unit inspection is our property management engineering and maintenance team. So they are very like knowledgeable when it comes on this one because we do have this kind of different skilled people when it comes on plumbing, electrical. So they do have this kind of experience with different developer already, different properties. So we already encountered those problem when it comes on turnover. So I'm very confident to say that once they assess the property, they will like they can know if there's a future problem that will come. For example, one example is um, the unit turnover, they deliver a washing machine space, and then there's no waterproofing.
Oh.
So that would be a problem in the future.
Yeah, because if the washing machine space doesn't have any waterproofing, then all of the spillage is going to affect yung tiles, no?
Yes, and then it will go down to the unit below.
Oh no.
So
okay.
this is some of the common problem with different properties that we have here in Philippines. So yes, it's good. The turnover, the paint is nice, but there's a what can I say? How can I say this?
A possibility of
Yes,
things under the paint not being as nice.
Yes. No. So there's a wear and tear materials that you need to. So after the 1 year or if someone using the property, eventually they will experience this kind of concerns.
But then that's where GSR comes in to make sure you can catch them before they become a really big problem.
Yes, that's correct. To prevent, that's the important thing of for a property management, to prevent the worst problem that will come up, because it will give you a big expenses for repairs. But to prevent it, like at first, your plan with the unit is you will use it or make it an investment. Look for tenant. So someone will use it. Someone will use the washing machine. Someone will use water on this area. So you need to prevent it. Secure those things so to avoid major damages.
All right. So on the topic of security, do you guys also do furniture maintenance and furniture refurbishing?
Yes, we're doing also that. Basically, we do have this interior design team, and then we do have also this maintenance team. So, those interior design team is, for example, like we call it one-stop shop, one-stop property management shop, because after the turnover, the buyer don't need to look or contact for another interior designer because we can handle that. We have this kind of proposal furnishing or interior design. It depends on the theme of the buyer or it depends on the purpose of the buyer. So basically, we will do the purchasing of furnitures or fabricating the furnitures, custom furnitures, and then the appliances. We do have this some suppliers here, local suppliers here. So we will do those furnishing, design, carpentry.
Even carpentry, okay.
Yes, even the carpentry. And then our maintenance team, they are handling if the property is already there's a occupants already. For example, you are the occupant, you are the owner of the property, and then you encounter some problems. You need to install this or you need to repair this. So that's the maintenance team. And then if the property is for investment, those tenants has a lot of concern daily. So those maintenance team will cater those tenants' concern also.
Okay. Can you also modify existing furniture, like the furnishings that have already come built into the unit, if ever? Is that a thing?
Yes, we do modify. For example, we used to enhance those furnitures also. For example, those furnitures is not really prone. It's not really what we call this. To avoid the termites. Okay, those type of wood. So sometimes we replace those woods to a marine plywood, and then we put
Varnish.
Yeah, protections for termites and then protections for water.
Okay. I'm trying to visualize it now because furniture maintenance and future proofing in that manner would be really good. Also best to get it done ASAP once it's turned over. Can you actually do the maintenance before the turnover date or
No, but there's a punch list. What we call is a punch list. There's a punch list documents that will be given to you when the unit will be turned over. So this punch list document, if you notice some notice some concern in the unit during the turnover day, like you think this is not good quality, you think this is not properly installed, you think the paint is will break after a few days because it's not like
it's not flat?
yeah, not flat, and then there's a sign of water leak there. So you can write those concerns, and then these published documents will be like given to the turnover team, and then they will like repair all your concern, and then reschedule again the turnover. So
okay.
basically, you cannot like the turnover. You can like it depends on the owner. You will not accept the unit because there's no problem. It's okay. So, but if you accept the unit, like without concerning those problems, so the warranty will run, and then 1 year pass, you still
have the problems, and then they're gonna get worse.
Yes.
Okay. Now that puts things into perspective, Rin, because I would have thought the units once turned over would be already ready for occupancy. And I guess there are some units like that, like some developers who will furnish the unit for you. But it's also really good to know that GSR is there to give the units a final once over, a final second opinion, and then change things that either the developers won't change or just stuff that the unit owner wants to modify for that unit. It's good to know that there's that option available.
Yeah.
All right. I have a bunch to think about. So I wanted to ask about the process of managing tenants if I ever decide to rent out a unit for tenanting. But I think for now we're good to take a short break, maybe rehydrate for a bit. Is that fine?
Yes.
All right. So we'll be back after this short break. Thanks so much for tuning in so far, and see you in a bit.
Thank you, everyone.
For all of your property needs, come to Global Strategy Real Estate, GSR. We at GSR are your one-stop shop for anything related to your property and more. From management to buying, selling, documentation, and maintenance, we have your back. At GSR, we aspire to provide the level of quality and service which put Japan on the map as one of the hallmarks of hospitality. Let us manage your property today.
And we're back. Thanks again, everyone, for sticking with us this long here in the GSR podcast. So I wanted to ask about tenants. I'm currently a tenant myself, but if I ever get into the position of being a landlord, like let's say if I want to rent out a newly turned over, newly maintained property, what exactly should I expect? What is it like being a landlord, and what should I look out for?
As much as possible, we need to give to our tenant a convenient stay to the unit. So we want to prevent those common problems that we encounter. The good thing that we have in property management, because we already counter several of units, like from those units that we sold thousands of it, like we handle it. Every developers, every unit, they have different concerns. So we have this kind of prevention list that we need to apply with the unit. So we're preventing this some concerns that we already encounter from those tenants that we have, from those thousands concerns that we gathered we experience from those tenants that we are handling. So this is the objective of those landlords, and then this is the thing that the property management want to apply with the unit.
So what concerns are those usually that come up commonly, like pests, leaks? What sort of things should I expect?
Yes, one of them is the leak that you mentioned, and then some of them is those unfunctionable appliances, and then like even those insects like that came from other unit going through your drainage, transferring them because the drainage in your condominium property is connected. Actually, you don't have individual drainage that's going through it's connected each floor.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better in case in case something happens despite my best efforts to keep the place clean.
Yes. So for those units that we handle, actually we also putting like a cover, drainage cover. Especially if this unit is like for viewing, it's not yet occupied. Like we're preventing these insects to come inside the unit.
Making nests. Okay. At least that way, if you manage a large amount of units, you can help contribute to the overall health of the floor by fixing in drainage. In that case, how much does that usually cost to do the preventive maintenance for that? What's it like?
It depends on those unit needs. For example, there's no waterproofing in this usually a wet area we will apply. Like the paint on the kitchen area is like a matte paint that if you cook oily food, it will stick in the wall. So we need to make it as glossy paint so you can easily clean it after you cook. So it depends. Or your drainage cover is your drainage doesn't have any cover, we put cover. Your door doesn't have the like door strip at the
for dust and stuff.
Yeah, for dust and stuff. So we're like providing those stuff. So it depends on the needs of the unit.
That's interesting.
Even the window, like you can hear the like outside noise from the traffic. So we will add some sealant or some rubber soundproofing in the edge of the window.
Okay.
So it depends.
It does. I also didn't take into consideration how many different issues or I guess desired customizations would pop up post turnover. Like it's not just maintenance stuff, but the little things. No, it's really the little things that get to you, especially when you're already living in that area. Yes. In that case, what about the rent? Like as a landlord, what's it like dealing with tenant rent? Should I just expect them to send it to my bank account or my Gcash? Is it a complicated process? Is it a hassle?
Yes, as a landlords, and then even you have a one unit, it's kind of stressful also to handle this billing and collection. Like when it comes on collecting the rent, and then you need to pay association dues, you need to pay your real property tax, you need to monitor the utilities if the tenant is like updated on payment. So there's several stuff that you need to monitor, and then you need to like check on it like every month. So that's why property management service offers this kind of service also to those landlords, because the property management service, we do have this kind of billing and collection. There's like accounting team that will collect the rent from the tenants, and then this accounting team will also monitor your association dues and other billings, and then they will monitor the usage of utilities of the tenants also. So it's very important to monitor if they are paying up the utilities, because they do have the security deposit only, which is usually 2 months of the monthly rent. So if they don't pay a utilities and then they left out the unit, so you need to like use the security deposit to cover those expenses, utilities. But sometimes the utility expenses, if you have a lot of appliances in the unit and then the usage is quite high from the tenant, and then sometimes the security deposit is not enough. That's why it's very important that there is someone monitoring the utility payment of the tenant. It happens with us also. That's why we created these systems that some one in property management, monitoring the utility bills of the tenants. And then, hindi pa kasama dun if just in case the tenant like made some damages in the unit.
That's
So
a separate thing.
the separate thing. So imagine tenant left you a huge payment from the utilities. Internet, it's good if not under the owner's name. But if it's under the owner's name, it's your account. You need to settle that. So usually the water and then the electricity. So the water is averaging 2,000 to 3,000 in the unit. So it depends on the usage. The electricity, it's averaging 5,000 pesos or less. It depends on the usage also. So you need to consider those things. You need to monitor, because if the tenant left and then like we'll never know if the tenant will still communicate with you and then take those responsibilities. But for us, we need to prevent those things also. Not only preventing the maintenance of the unit, but preventing those unnecessary expenses from the landlord.
Which is why you have all of these systems in place to keep track of, well, everything that needs to be kept track of. Okay.
Yes.
That simplifies things.
It's
Kung ganyan though, sorry for interrupting, but like, do you do whole package deals then? Like, since you're a one-stop shop and all, does that mean you have a specific package deal that covers maintenance, furnishing, and then management?
Yes, we do have the package deal. But there's a catch on that. If there's a payment, for example, repairing this item, so it's not included. The payment cost is not included in the package. But there's a package for the service only.
Okay.
But the
cost of materials?
Yes, the cost is like usually we'll issue a quotation. Look at the quotation. Like we will assess this problem and then the cost, and then like we'll divide it to the tenant. If it's intentional cost by the tenant will shoulder this one. If it's natural cost or wear and tear, the owner will shoulder. Okay. So you need to differentiate the costing also of the damages. But you're asking about the package for all those services that I mentioned. Yes, we have this package. Yes. Actually, the property management of GSR, the payment only is like 5% of the monthly rent of the unit.
So if the monthly rent is something like 30K, then you're only paying around, what's that?
It's 1,500. That's correct, 1,500. And then the good thing is, it's ito yung pinakamaganda at pinaka nagugustuhan ng mga client namin. The good thing in property management, which is 5% only, we will deduct this 5% only if the unit is tenanted or occupied. So basically, if the unit is vacant and then there's no tenant in the unit, we don't deduct 5% every month. So the property management service of GSR, they are deducting the 5% if the unit is generating income.
Oh, so you could have a unit for lease that's not yet tenanted, and then GSR can both take care of the unit until it's tenanted, or lease it out, and then when it's finally leased, they can handle the rest of the unit monitoring after, no?
It will happen even the unit is not tenanted. The monitoring, like the monitoring of association dues, the RPT, the cleaning of the unit, but the cleaning cost is different.
Okay.
Yes, but the monitoring of the unit to make it more, it's maintained and it's clean and then it's updated on payment. It's consistently handled by the property management team.
All right. So, and there's no cost for that if you have a unit that's not yet tenanted and you just hand it over to GSR for maintenance, you don't really incur any cost for it until it starts getting rent.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. So we are very committed to find a tenant. So that's the time. It's a win-win situation, because if you are the landlord and then you're getting income, that's the time our service gets an income also. But if you're not getting income, we will not charge you.
Okay.
Hmm.
In that case,
Do you think it's a good deal?
Yes, I do. For all things considered, and this isn't company mandated, yes, I actually do. I didn't know about the taking care of the unit and not charging even while it's non-tenanted part. That's really good. It's a classic give first before you can giving a value first to the customer, and that's a lot of value to give kasi ang hassle maglinis ng unit.
Yes, that's
especially
correct.
if you're just a landlord by yourself and then you have to be the one to monitor everything.
Pupunta-punta ka pa sa property.
Punta ka pa, then you spend 2 hours like straight up scrubbing the toilets clean, sweeping the floor. It's an exhausting thing. And the worst part is you're not even living in that unit that you're taking care of as a landlord. You're going to be cleaning it up for someone else, or you're gonna have to pay someone to do it. I think it's good that you handle all of this because at least you can just ask GSR to do everything in relation to the unit. Like, hey, I need help with my documents. Okay, we can do that. Hey, I need help with cleaning and making sure this unit doesn't like explode in a year. Oh yeah, we can do that too.
So imagine you have the 100% income. So we will just take the 5% from your income.
I think that's fair so that you can eliminate the hassle of having to monitor everything because all of that takes time, takes energy, gets stressful.
And then it's very traffic here in Manila.
Oh nga, no.
If you're living in like Quezon City and then you have a property in Makati, so it will take you 2 hours to just check and monitor your property.
Jesus Christ, sayang yung araw ay mo. Nabenta lahat sa gas.
Most of the admin like property management admin inside the property, like they require you to go like actual visit because they need your sign, they need you submit. If you have a tenant, you need your wet sign. Do not notary of the contract. Register them, move in them.
I didn't think of that. So that means there's even more stuff just for the movement alone. But then if GSR has SPAs, special powers of attorney, doesn't that mean they can handle?
Yes, that's correct. As long as it's authorized by the owner, like you can state in the SPA those limitations from the authorization. So it's okay also. GSR can do the signing, GSR can do the viewing, the move-in, even checking if the unit condition is good for the tenants. So GSR property management service can handle also.
That's really, really good to hear. It really
There's a lot of service, but we only charge if you're generating income.
yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, the other thing is when a lot of shops say one-stop shop, they don't usually really mean one-stop shop. But with the way GSR set itself up, they really went all the way to be the one-stop shop.
Yes.
All right. Well, now I have even more to think about. Thank you, Sir Ian.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to conduct this interview with me and to give me a glimpse into what it's like being a landlord and owning property. And I guess with that, we can call it for this podcast. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah.
All right, so this has been me, Angelo Zulueta, your host for the GSR podcast, and Mr. Ian Cipriano, our property management head, and the wonderful person who taught me about real estate investment and the beginnings of real estate management. So, if you're interested in availing of GSR services, you can go to www.gsr-ph.com. That's www.gsr-ph.com. We'll also be able to probably link the QR code for our link tree somewhere along the line here in this podcast that you can scan so you can follow our socials. If you liked this episode and you want to see more, please go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow our YouTube channel. Don't forget to whack the notification bell for notifications. God, this makes me feel like a YouTuber. That's an interesting feeling. And if you want to listen to this or the other podcast episodes that we will be having in the future, you can also look for us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube Music. If you want updates for real estate, and if you want other updates for other miscellaneous stuff that we do as a one-stop shop, please also don't hesitate to throw us a message on Facebook. We're also on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok if you like, where we'll be posting condo tours and other varied content. So, to everyone who stuck around this long, thank you so much, and see you next time. Bye!
Bye, guys.